Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining us. This is exciting. A lot of people have joined. So far, we are 19 participants. And here's one more. Okay. Tobias, I'll let you introduce yourself and get started, and then I'll take it from there.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone to our webinar today. As Lauren has already said, my name is Tobias. You have probably seen my name also already pop up in some of the emails and in the WhatsApp group. I have been following YokoVillage since about 2 years. My friend David Pervan is a co-founder of YokoVillage, and he always told me about YokoVillage, and hence my interest in it. However, I could never afford to be owner of a villa just by myself. Also, in the very beginning, I thought it was a bit too risky, but now there was the opportunity when Lauren and I talked end of last year to create this joint venture, like a joint venture for co-ownership, a joint venture for co-investment. And that was a perfect fit right away. And I'm doing this for 3 reasons, mainly. You've seen it probably already on the WhatsApp group, but for those that are not part of the WhatsApp group, let me just repeat that again, because I think it's important. So on the one hand, I'm doing all of this together with Lauren because I want to have a second home in the sun. I'm living here in Hamburg, Germany, beautiful city, but not always as sunny. So, and Costa Rica is the perfect place to be for that. I've just been there in March. It's an absolute paradise. The vibes in Santa Teresa are amazing. The beach is great. So I really, really liked it. So that is one reason. The second reason is that I really want to be part of that community. There are lots of real estate projects across the world. There are also amazing ones, but what you really rarely find is a community that is so entrepreneurial, so driven, so diverse, so inspiring, like the one that is at YokoVillage. And I really wanted to be a part of that as well. And then the third reason really is about an investment purpose here. There are other opportunities out there as well, but I really do believe that Yoko is providing a very strong investment case. And that is pretty much the reason why I'm participating in that as well. Now, I should say that I've done a similar setup in Florida. So 2 of my friends and I, we are owning 2 apartments in Florida, where we have also structured a joint venture around it. In that case, it was an LLC. And because I've seen how that is working, I am pretty much confident that what we are now trying to do here in YokoVillage will also work out just as well as it did in the United States. So that's pretty much about me. Looking forward to dive into the details. But before that, I think Lauren wanted to give a quick overview on Yoko. Back to you, Lauren.
All right, awesome. Maybe you can switch slide or let me share screen. Okay, guys, so everybody here should know Yoko already. The most beautiful thing about us is that we are a community of like-minded people, and there are 51 members today between Yoko North and Yoko South. We are not just like a developer, we are a community developer. And the first and foremost, you know, we're investing in a lot more than just doing roads and infrastructure, but creating communal spaces and creating additional activities and investments and focus around entrepreneurship, sustainability. And so we want to create a lot of new ventures out of YokoVillage. And the main thing that's describing us is our flexibility. And we'd like to be able to do joint ventures like this, also by co-investing land, which is essentially helping us also build the community faster and allowing more people with different income to join and be part of this. So let's continue to the next slides. Maybe I will share screen, will be better.
Sure.
Yeah. And so you guys already probably know this map. This is the lots or the fincas, the spaces we've already acquired in Santa Teresa, mostly. And in YokoVillage North, we have this is our site map. The first 5 lots that are touching this public road are titled lots today, and we're talking about lot number 4. Over here, I don't know if you can see. This is how we allocated the house on the lot itself. It's a 3-bedroom horizontal. It's a beautiful, beautiful house. Just defocus the presentation. Do you guys see my screen really focused?
Yeah.
Let's see, more people are coming in. Hold on. 1 second. There we go. 27 participants. Coming back to Zoom. Okay, and so Tobias, you want to step in on here? I think you wanted to say something about this.
Sure. So what is the joint venture all about? The joint venture is about owning this property of land, lot 4, and building the villa on top of it. So the joint venture essentially as a legal setup is a company. The company is the entity that will own the land and the house or the villa on top of it. So Yoko, which is contributing the land, we'll talk about it in a bit more detail, and the co-investors, they will be becoming shareholders in return for the investment they are putting into the company. So you're not directly owning the house and the land, but you own shares in the company that is owning it. Once once the villa is built, okay. So ownership is the land that Yoko contributes. It's worth 300,000 euros right now. Yoko will get shares in return, and then for individuals that invest cash up like at least 50,000, you will get shares in return as well.
Tobias,
So the
sorry,
moment
I switched your slide in the middle, and I'm having a technical glitch again. Sorry about that. I don't know why it's doing
no
that,
worries.
but I'm sorry. This for some reason I don't want to rush you. That was not my intention. Please go back to where you were.
Yeah. I mean, it would have worked anyway, but exactly. So the company will own the land, and all of us will become shareholders, right, in the company. So then we're going to build the villa together. However, it will be managed and overseen by Yoko. That's already stipulated in the contracts. Once the villa is built, every one of us can use the villa for a predetermined number of days per year at a discount rate. The reason why it's not entirely for free is because if you have co-owners, that different co-owners can spend a different amount of days at the property. And in order to make it fair, we've come up with this mechanism that is just a discounted rate rather than something for free. And that is how it would work. During the days in which we as co-owners are not using the villa, YokoVillage will rent it out. And the rental income that is made by that will be distributed or reinvested once a year. So we will come together once a year. It's called the General Assembly under the legal document that we need to do in order to set up the company. And in that annual meeting, we will decide whether or not the money is reinvested or distributed. However, it's also an investment case, and that's very important. During the sale, we will already put it up on the market. And from our financial projections, we know that a return of 60% is likely. We believe that there's more in it, right? So we will put it onto the market for sale. And once we achieve that target price, then it will be sold, and the proceeds from the sale will be again distributed according to the shares that everyone is owning. So for me, it's really, either we make good money with it because it's a great investment case, or we have more time in which we can live there ourselves. So there's really not the downside, at least if you see it from that perspective. So because some of you might be from the United States, and I know in the United States, there's the time sharing model. And I think it's so important to stress that this is not time sharing. It is really not. Here in this case, you're actually owning the property and villa through the ownership in the company. That also means that you benefit when the value of the property goes up. I mean, if it goes down, it's obviously the same, but you have home equity, as it is called, right? And you earn income and proceeds with that. And then the other thing, it's similar like timeshare. We spread out maintenance amongst and upkeeping costs, should they be any. I mean, the villa is going to be new, so there shouldn't be much, but we will spread it amongst each other. So it's also a risk diversification. So these kind of fractional ownerships are either done if you cannot afford it yourself, or if it is too risky for you to put all your money into one property. This is really what fractional ownership is all about. On the WhatsApp group, there was a question on individual retirement account money, right? For those that have it in the United States, whether or not a project like that is eligible. Now, we are no tax advisor or legal expert, at least not when it comes to the American law, but it seems that it's eligible from everything that we've been doing. If there are more Americans in that group that are really interested in getting that solved, or get a final confirmation, I think we can arrange something in the group so that one person clarifies it for all, because it should be pretty much applicable. Now, let's talk about some more details. The ownership, as I've said, it comes in shares in the company. So you're not directly holding the villa and the land, but you hold the shares in the company. Now, because Yoko is contributing the land, which is valued at 300K, Yoko will already receive shares in return, right? And we as investors that bring in the cash that is needed to build the villa and to get the furniture, we will get accordingly shares as well. Now, 50K is the minimum. If someone says, okay, I want to go higher, that's no problem. The moment we have that, the construction comes underway. For the construction, we've got already the blueprints, and Liren will show them. So a lot of work has already been done. It's valued at 10K, and Yoko is contributing that as well. So with the money then that we as investors are contributing, the villa is being built. And then once we're renting it out, Yoko is not only managing and overseeing the construction, but Yoko will also oversee the rental, the renting out and all of that. So there's really no operational efforts. If you compare to a setup in the United States, you might have heard about a manager-managed LLC or a member-managed LLC. Now, what we are doing is more the manager-managed type of LLC under Costa Rican law, meaning you don't have to be operationally involved. It's a manager, in that case, Yoko, that is doing it. There were quite a few questions on how long is the construction taking, and it's difficult to say during these times. We're confident about the 8 to 12 months time horizon, but you know, volatility and availability of construction material impacts also Costa Rica, and it's not fully under our control. So everything is prepared what can be prepared, but there's always that insecurity that we just have to share, and I think it should be well understood. Right, and then and those 12 months, they are starting the moment we have raised the full amount of capital. I'm getting to that. So what is again the use of the villa? And essentially there are three uses. I've touched upon them already. So first of all, it's an investment use case. So the villa will be listed upon the, for sale on the open market already during construction at a high target price. As long as we are not achieving that target price, right? We're gonna rent it out through Yoko as an Airbnb rental. And then there's the opportunity for self-use. So during the days it's not rented out, we can use it ourselves for the predetermined number of days, which is 20 as of now. And the discounted rate is 25% less than what is posted on Airbnb during that time. Now, I should say, because there have been also questions about those, whether or not 20 days and 25% is really good amounts. Because we're all shareholders in the company, once a year, when we come together in the General Assembly in order to approve the strategy of the joint venture, those numbers can also be changed if the majority of us, in that case, I think the contracts currently stipulate 80%, say we want to have it a different way, right? And that's again something that is really benefit of that sort of structure. In terms of very concrete steps before we look at the villa, so we need to close the round, and you'll see how much money we still need. Only then, when we've closed the round, so when we have raised enough money, only then we will register the company. The documents are prepared, but we are not doing it until the money is not in there. Once the company is created, we open the bank account in the name of that company. And it's only then when you need to transfer the money, right? The moment this is done, the final proposals will be requested from the construction company. The construction company is already identified, and we're very confident about the 600,000 that is needed for the construction. And yet, the world is changing, right? We cannot have it 100% under control. So we're confident with the 600,000 that this will be sufficient for the construction because it includes already a little buffer, but we will only know then. And once we've gotten that, then construction can start. So ideally, we close the round very quickly, hopefully today or in the next couple of weeks, and then we would start constructing within the next 1 or 2 months. That's about the joint venture. Back to you.
Excellent, Tobias. Thank you so much. And for this group, please feel free to ask questions in the chat, or we'll finish this presentation in a few minutes, and then we'll all get to have a group discussion. So I'll just keep a few more minutes to share. This is images from the property itself. This is the title of the property. It's about a quarter of an acre, or 1,037 square meters. It's sitting right there, touching the road at the entrance to YokoVillage North. Some renders of the 3-bedroom horizontal villa. I would say that in my taste, the bedrooms, could be bigger, but overall the house is incredible. And in Costa Rica, where you really want to be is outside, have a nice pool and a nice outdoor deck. The house is beautiful, and it's going to be the second horizontal house that we'll be building, as we're building another horizontal house of a very similar manner in lot number 3, right next to it. Later, you guys can access in the data room all the exact plans and the dimensions of each of the parking, of the bedrooms, of the outdoor, of the indoor. Everything is here. As Tobias mentioned, we've already have done the work for the construction plans. This means engineers, topographers, architects from Yoko, from Serrana Robledo, which is the main architect and brand designer who designed Yoko. She's the one who's took in charge of doing this home, there is a beautiful job that is made here that I invite you later to look at. The villa is going to be surrounded by trees, and overall a very quiet street that only leads to another development that doesn't have anything right nowadays. So the road there should always remain not a busy road. So in terms of financial projections on the data room, you have this. We've been making adjustments to this as people raise hands or have any doubts. I see Iris raised the hand here. So would you like to ask something directly?
Hi, Lira. No, why don't you just finish your presentation and then I can come with a question, okay?
Super. Okay. Yeah, so we took some time to make sure we have the right days occupied per month and the occupancy rate, also depending on different rates in the whole season, which is something we always do. And the markets have been changing, so it's been hard to keep up on what's exactly going on right now. But overall, when we've seen very good trends in Santa Teresa over the last few years. When it comes to taxes, I was just talking to our tax advisor a few minutes before we started this to verify, and mostly people want to know, what are they paying in Costa Rica? What are we paying as a company? And if some of you are coming from countries with were residents of treaty countries like Spain, Germany, Mexico. The taxes are reduced from 15% to 5%. But overall, there is always for the company, for the rental income, it has a 30% income tax that it will pay, and there will be a 15% tax dividend when upon distribution. Now we have here on the bottom Mr. Carlos Camacho and his email, and we can share we can join. He couldn't join the call today, but he's available for anybody who wants to know about Costa Rican tax. And when it comes to your own country taxes, you are welcome to figure out how it works in your own country, and I can also help you when it comes to Canada, United States, and some other countries like Israel or Amsterdam or Europe, like the Netherlands, where I know the law. The legal framework, we have here Adriano Bando. He's an attorney that's, he's not YokoVillage attorney by se, but he's been an attorney that's been very involved with many of the Yoko members and also been helping us recently growing to new destinations. So it's been accompanying us as an advisor, and most of the Yoko members nowadays are in touch with him, together with Invicta, who is our main corporate attorney. And he's here to answer your questions on this Zoom. Tobias, I don't know if you wanted to talk about the legal framework at all.
I mean, I can quickly run through if that's of interest.
I think if you want to do if you want to really quickly mention the things that you think are the most important thing. For example, one of the most important thing that I believe would help the group in knowing that there is like a spokesman, right? And we're talking about you being that spokesman as an investor who's also doing business with us for the first time, right? But then there is like the appointing of corporate directors, so you are one of them. And I don't know if you want to add anything that everybody could see here.
Yeah, I mean, what is just important to underline, so there are two kind of legal agreements that are being put in place. The one is the Pacto Constitutivo, right? The founding agreement, pretty standard when you see it on the right-hand side. And then there's the operating agreement or the partnership agreement that solves pretty much everything else. And you can look into it. There will be, in addition, annexes to the operating agreement, like, for example, the management agreement, because someone was already asking on the management fees, how much is Yoko taking? So that will be then attached, but kind of kept separate because it's just a bit simpler. Yeah, but if there are questions about those agreements, we can discuss them then in the Q&A.
Yeah, we'll get to all these questions in a minute. So we had so far Tobias already signed the agreement. We have Tim who confirmed on the group, and he's actually an investor in Yoko, and he's a returning investor. I think that of the 51 members, there are already many recurring members that are reinvesting, kind of like so that's always a great pleasure to see. And I just wanted to say thank you for the team. Jeffrey Valverde is a civil engineer and today our construction partner. He's a great guy. He's very available. He's the who we're planning to do the construction. We have a whole team that's like around us to support what we do, and actually not everybody are here. But yeah, we can talk about that. So guys, thank you. This now we can go for the Q&A.
Aaron, I think there are already quite a few questions in the chat room.
Okay.
Most of them seem to be most suitable for you.
Okay, so Marta asked, shares in which company? In the joint venture, and that would be correct. And anybody can also just unmute themselves and decide to ask the questions. Let's see. So I'm going to answer them one by one till one of you gets to ask by voice. curious about the fees that Yoko will charge, right, for managing the Airbnb. Is it a fixed percentage of the rent? So the management fee that YokoVillage in general is going to charge for managing a home is 20%. Okay. That is a standard management fee. Some more expensive ones are managing 25% from that in Santa Teresa. So that is actually the low ball. We're probably going to charge the same management fee here. Next question. What other fees will be needed to furnish taxes and by when? Okay, so furnishing and appliances of these homes are usually about 50K when it's done properly. And we are seeing that the house is going to cost around 550, and we take another 50 for the furniture. When it comes to taxes, we've discussed that question. There's on the rental income that the Airbnb will make, there is a 30% tax, but we also have expenses. So whatever expenses we will write off will get written off on those on that revenue. When you sell, when you do a dividend, when we issue dividends to you once a year, there will be 15% tax on these dividends. As far as I understood, I'm not a tax advisor, and if I would be wrong, then we would ask Mr. Carlos Camacho, who is accompanying us as a Costa Rican tax advisor. On that topic, will there be ongoing maintenance costs? What is really required after the initial investment? Okay, so maintenance usually happens once a year, and I'm hoping that after the first year or the second year, the house will be sold. There is a smaller chance that it will be sold even while under construction or a little bit after that it's done, depending what we all decide. And so if there is a maintenance cost, I would calculate it as about 2 to 3% a year of the overall costs, sometimes less. So when I was in just my house, that was the cost, but now we have more houses there, and so that cost is probably going to be reduced. This is like stuff like painting the wood. But since the house is going to be brand new for the first year or two, we don't expect too much maintenance costs aside of maybe painting the wood. I'm continuing to answer your questions in the chat. So what is really required after the initial investment? Not so much, just be in touch. Once a year, decide how we want to distribute the money. Maybe, yeah, not too much. Do you ideally have a detailed breakdown of all the related costs? Yes, we do, and that is in the data room, in the Excel. How will we manage a scenario if more than 600K is required? Assuming prorated shares, would Yoko contribute or dilute? If the house will cost more than 600K, which we don't expect, but could happen. We've seen incredible changes between the currency in Costa Rica versus the US dollars. The world is expecting that could make the construction more expensive. Also, we've seen how crazy the world is with COVID, post-COVID. If there will be an additional investment needed by whoever is going to invest it, it's going to be pro rata, so it should be fair. And everybody gets diluted, obviously. Is there a different rate of tax of the company for capital gains versus sale versus income? So yes, again, I'm not a tax advisor, but as I understand, for any income the company that makes, for any profit it makes, there is 30% tax, and that is the main tax. Is landscaping including in the initial investment? Yes, so that includes everything, including landscape. Is the joint venture meant only for villa number 4, or also possibly to expand into building more houses once the villa 4 invested is executed? Yeah, so thank you, Marta, for asking that question. And so, yeah, if there will be more investors here, we might open a second joint venture. As a general matter, in Yoko, we want to offer us as an investor with a fair price of the land, and allow anybody who wants to do joint ventures to build not just homes, but also communal spaces, maybe like a cafe or any type of business around the village that would be accommodating. We would be looking for that. Yes, we can expand to right now. There is one investor who is looking to do the same deal in lot number 3, right next door. And he's been a little bit delayed, and I've told him today, hey, if this group is gonna want to go for a second, we might need to move faster, and then lot number 3 might become available. But as of now, it's not. We don't want to do this joint venture in ocean views right now or in other lots, because we don't want to go and engage in joint ventures in lands that are not titled. So since we know that titles are coming very soon in Yoko North and South, we want to wait until we do such more joint ventures. So more to encourage you to join this one, because there will definitely be a second one, but it might not be as fast. If that's answering the question. Next question, Jason Long. He's okay, dropped out. Maybe interested. Let's talk about it. How has been your experience with water supply in Santa Teresa area? About a year ago, I heard there was issues in the zone. Don't know where precisely. Thanks. Okay, so Ricardo, great question. In YokoVillage North, we are working right now on a water project. So we have a water availability letter from the Asada, and we are working on bringing municipality or government water into the project, since we'll have all the water the project needs. However, yes, there are many problems of water in Santa Teresa, and one of the benefits of joining Yoko is knowing that we are a little bit of a bigger, more organized, more flexible projects that's doing the work for the long term, and not counting on other solutions in the area like wells, like drilling many wells, which is unsustainable, and also they get dry in the summertime, which is, by the way, a famous trap when you buy an agriculture lot in Santa Teresa on the mountain, when you get a well and it seems like the well has water, and then comes February and you're buying water. So once the villa is sold, how is it going to distribute the profits? Once the villa is sold, we distribute the profits pro rata. So in the same percentage that you have, we would split the profits. This has been the last question of the chat.
I have a question, Liran.
Yes.
I have a few questions.
Hi, Oni.
Hi. What is the status of the common spaces of the community? When are you expect they will be finished?
YokoVillage in general is still in an early stages of development, and so far there are no communal spaces built. The status of the communal spaces right now is that they're being designed, and as we are continuing with those designs, we share them with you in all the means that we can. Take in mind that we are talking about building the biggest co-working center and the nicest, maybe in all of Costa Rica. And it's a very expensive building. So we are very we are ambitious. And so we are not in a hurry to build them. We are wanting to make sure we will have their quality construction, design, and spaces for the really long run. So I understand that some might be worried about when those are going to be. I don't know exactly when, but I can tell you that we're doing our best to get them to finish the designs as quickly as we can. And then once we finish the designs, there are a few factors that determine how fast they get built, like funding and weather, and construction permits.
Okay, thank you. Another question is in the Excel table. There is the rental income. Is the profit already after taxes? Is it gross or net profit?
I see. We have Minerva here. I think she's our CFO, and it would be great if perhaps we can invite her to share screen and dive into the Excel, because I get a feeling that
to answer the question of Yoni, it's gross. We didn't consider taxes yet, so everything that you see in the Excel, then you need to add on the tax on it.
Okay, right.
Yoni, would you like to share screen and like ask more questions about the Excel in particular? I think it could be a good opportunity.
Meanwhile, I have the last question. How many plots are sold in the Yoko North until now, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, not at all. So the story of Yoko North is very interesting. So we already had the place half sold, and then many or most of the members have received an upgrade offer from me when we decided to purchase Yoko South. And so today there are 9 members in Yoko North. And also, just for you to know, there are 48 lots over there, and we hope to not build on more than 30. 30 would be our best outcome, so we can save as much as green spaces, as we don't want to actually take advantage of all these lots. We want to make them more green spaces, edible forest areas, like plant more trees. But that is yet to be figured out. Yeah. Tobias here.
I think we still have a question from Iris. We still owe her the space.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Liren and Tobias, so far for presenting the project. I have a question more about your concept and your vision, because that, to be honest, I haven't really fully understood.
Go
You
ahead.
can still hear me? Yeah. Yes. You said in the beginning you're a community or a group of like-minded people. So for me, it would be interesting to hear what is your like-mindedness about. Because I see 2 strands here. The one is creating a community. Creating a community is one thing, but making profit is another thing. It can also go together. But I still don't get the concept fully, because what we are doing here or planning here in the joint venture is making profit, building, selling, making profit. Okay. What else? But that's not building a community. You know what I mean? I just want to understand it better. And my last question is, how big? You said you are ambitious. What does that ambition mean? How big is YokoVillage supposed to become? So that narrows down to the question, what is the main purpose here with YokoVillage? We all want to make money, but there's also another side to it that I haven't fully understood, which is the community building. Thank you.
Excellent questions.
Do I make sense to you? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and also save the best for last, maybe. Well, let me answer you one by one. And so first I'd like to say that what we're doing here right now is we're doing a joint venture for profit, and whoever is going to buy it is going to become a member of the community. So this is like a subdivision maybe of something that's much bigger.
Okay.
And so whoever is going to eventually purchase the house is going to be a member of the community. Okay, so that just to say that the second thing that you asked, what is how does the profit and what is the purpose and the vision, and how big is YokoVillage? So
yeah, and also what is your like-mindedness about?
yes, and the like-mindedness.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the heart of YokoVillage is a big vision, and mostly it's about living a little bit differently. So everybody who's came to YokoVillage so far is seeing, well, I've came to Santa Teresa because, and I'd say it's our first location. So I'll talk about the size, but everybody in the terms of like-mindedness have came to have a membership in a community where they can relate to. I always say we're not a bunch of retirees or hippies. We're coming to have a second home. We want to have beautiful relationships with neighbors and know that we are all there. And on the concept of second home, we want to have a second income, but we also want to create friendships. We want to love our neighbors, and we believe we have a shot at this in doing this here. We want to feel a sense of community in the way that there is acceptance and there is the same maybe like general attributes that the community is coming from maybe many different places from around the world, but everybody's seeking more of a connection to being in a natural place close to nature, and maybe like committed to at least a few months of the year where we can live in paradise and be more connected to nature, and have a community where we know we can also go and work and create. And inside this community, there is an entrepreneurial vibe, an entrepreneurial that is coming directly, at least from me and from the Yoko team. And about half of the members are actually super entrepreneurs, and then there is families, and so there is not just entrepreneurs. Obviously, there are also some digital nomads, people that are working in remote, that can see that they can take their families to paradise and not just be on vacation, but also continue the work lifestyle from afar, being like a little bit more inspiring from the nature, but also seeing that there is like a wanting to keep a connection, like have real connection and deeper connection with the members. So having some sort of an involvement, although we are all like seeing that our first value is freedom. So as long as that freedom doesn't create any agonies on our neighbors, we want to be as free there as possible. And so like-minded people, it means a lot of things. And we're creating these communal spaces, so we have places to be. There's obviously a lot of places in the forest. There is Sangha next door, which is a retreat center where we all can get access, so that we can hang out and exercise, do yoga, eat together or eat separately, share different services, like maybe like a shuttle, and also like have a very open openness to the fact that we all we are not there most of the year, that we are Airbnb our place when we're not there, that YokoVillage is a brand of co-working communities is going to bring, and the marketing is going to be directed into probably a lot of tech companies and people that are also going to be coming to take their entrepreneurship into YokoVillage and work in those incredible co-working spaces and beautiful places that we're slowly designing and creating. And so when it comes to how big YokoVillage is supposed to be, today there is just YokoVillage in Yoko North, the first project, and Yoko South, which is the second one, in Santa Teresa. But we are right now very close to already sign on a joint venture agreement where we're going to open YokoVillage in Nosara. It's going to be run by a partner that is very experienced and is very heartfelt, like most of the Yoko members and all the Yoko members and the team. Everybody here are wanting to do this from the heart. So in Yoko, we are opening the entrepreneurship to, there is no limits to where Yoko can go. It's my job and the job of the team in Santa Teresa to succeed in Santa Teresa, and we're focusing on that. But the brand itself is seeking to expand, and we have been receiving offers from people all around the world and much more experienced developers than us in much more developed lands to start more Yoko villages, because the concept of Yoko, you know, Yoko means sunshine child, which is for new beginnings. And right now, the way you see the world, we're all like very thirsty for new beginnings. And maybe that's another thing that Yoko is kind of like looking into a liberal, maybe type of mindset for people wanting to also do things a little differently.
One last and very straightforward question to that, which also goes a bit into the direction what Joe posted in the chat, maybe. So then the decision to whom to sell, is it guided by who offers the best price or who fits best in the community? Because these might be different decisions, because when you, like you explained, and thank you for that, Liren, you want to have a certain mindset of people. That means you cannot sell to everyone, even if that person offers the best price.
I agree, absolutely. We have the today, so the way to approach Yoko today is through YokoVillage.com/application. I'm going to invite you to on the chat to get in there and have a look at that in case you haven't. And in the application, whoever wants to connect with us and use our time and our resources has to fill a very long application and give us some very satisfactory answers so that we would decide if we want to engage. We've received over 25,000 inquiries since we started, and we're not such a big team where we can really have deep relationship with everyone. So kind of the process that we've created is already working, and Yoko by itself is attracting those types of people. If you're buying in Santa Teresa a house in Yoko, it's because you want to be there. And from my experience so far, anybody who's not really a good fit to the community already kind of naturally drops off in that process. But to answer your question, finally, we won't sell to anyone.
Thank you.
There are a few more questions on the chat, Liren.
Yeah.
I know you've been talking a lot, but I think you also
this
have
is
the best
great.
answers.
This is great. This is great. Okay, so looking at this, how do we prevent bachelor parties, any disruptive guests? So we won't allow bachelor parties or any big party, just small gatherings that don't disturb the community. We're going to have YokoVillage North, which is what we're talking about, is in the process of becoming a condominium. And there in the condominium bylaws that will be published on a later stage, since they're not published yet, will state that. I'm continuing to read the questions unless you guys want to raise your hand.
Now, maybe just very quickly on that. So my experience is also from Florida. The group, I mean, there we are only 3 people, but here we're probably not going to be more than also not such a big group, right? So there is a certain accountability towards each other, and we're going to be a group of co-owners that will also manage it. And then on top of that, you've got the people on the side from YokoVillage to make sure that the bylaws that were just mentioned are also implemented. So, yeah.
I have a question here from the lady who sold me the best paddleboard ever, Amanda. I would imagine the majority of investors would like to visit during the dry season versus rainy season. How will you manage that? That's a great question. Is there a price change when renting in high season versus low season? Lastly, if you'd like to stay more than 20 days, how is that managed? Okay, so I'll start from the last. Amanda, if you'd like to stay more than 20 days, you can just book it according to availability. And yeah, so at any point you can check the availability of the villa and book it at the normal rate unless if you want to stay there more than 20 days. And if we do an 80% vote on wanting to change that, we could at any time decide to do that as a group. Is there a price change when renting in high season versus low season? Yes, absolutely. It goes down by a lot, and the occupancy rate also goes down in the rainy season. And so that there is an Excel that was shared in the data room, which I will send you, Amanda. And you can see those rates. So how do we imagine the majority of the investors would like to visit during the dry season? Okay, that is correct. We've always had the same policy of first come, first serve. So whoever comes in and books the place first gets to rent it. Let's see here. Joe Tomas, I'm most interested in long-term hold. What if the group doesn't want to liquidate this JV? Teresa, would you like to answer that question? I see you're smiling.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, first of all, everything that is stipulated in the partnership agreement, according to the agreement, with the 80% majority vote, can be changed, right? That's just how such a co-ownership works. We have set it up this way because we believe that this is, at that point, the most suitable setup. But nothing prevents us, especially, you know, either all of us or just a part of us, to go out, start a second JV, and then go for something that is dedicated to a more long-term purpose. Whatever we have developed here, I think is available. It can be copy-pasted and amended to whatever shareholders would agree to. And this is also how I would personally see it. To the question earlier on asked, right? Like, how can you own a share in something like that is being sold again and still be part of the community? I strongly believe that if we start this one, other good projects will follow right from that. And I could very well imagine that if that one works well, that we go immediately for a second JV. That is then probably also where we jointly decide which lot we want, rather than having no one allocated to it.
I had, may I ask a question about, yeah. Hi, Liren. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Rachel.
I just had a question about the projections for the rental, etc. Do you already have homes that you are renting out on in Yoko at this moment that you're partially basing that ROI on? Or how are you guys, what's informing those numbers?
Okay, good question. I believe you asked me that question in the past, or maybe I'm just confused.
Maybe.
I guess many people have asked me that question. So today there are 5 villas that are under construction at Yoko North. 2 are finishing in the next 30 to 45 days. And then we'll have the first rentals there. So we don't have any rentals inside YokoVillage. However, I own a few rentals on the mountain that's overlooking Yoko North. And I've been renting there for the last 2 years. So I have a sense of what's renting. I also kind of know all the numbers, and but the way we've matched the numbers was like a combination of the rental income that I saw on my property versus the rental incomes that are at airdna.com, which is the benchmark software. Yeah, that can show you the rates. And that if you see the timelines of between 2000 and let's say 18 and 2020, 23, you could see the numbers really, really well there, versus if you take just this year and last year, you would see a huge gap between the numbers.
Yeah. And I guess the other question I was going to ask Tobias, which was, you had mentioned that I think there's going to be that tension with investors that want to follow the path that you guys are suggesting, which is let's maximize the profits and try to sell this, within a short period of time and then possibly reinvest. And then the investors who are like, actually, I really want to have a home that I can have access to and have a long-term kind of rental. So, yeah, I don't know if there's something where the people that, I just think that might be a little hard to resolve. Like maybe in the future, there's an investment. It's almost like a real estate fund where you have certain properties that are like, no, this is actually going to be a minimum of, 3-year rental. And then the people who want to just kind of keep reinvesting, that's kind of a different path. But anyway, I think it's exciting.
Well,
I think the opportunities are there. We had to start somewhere, right? But nothing prevents us from not setting the same thing up again, where we stipulate or aim for a different purpose. But then again, I would also say we should know the people. If we're so long together owning one thing, we might want to decide together which is the lot, right? We want to know each other at least a little bit to know that this is working out. So I think this one now is a great opportunity, right? To see how it works, how we get along, how the setup works for all of us. So as to then do the more long-term step as a second step rather than as a first one.
Super. I'm also, I think, in regards to what Rachel is saying, and Tobias, Joe Tomas also asked here, I'm most interested in long-term hold. What if the group doesn't want to liquidate this JV? This is a good question, but we'll say this. We are interested in creating the highest return on investment. That is the goal specifically for this joint venture. And I'm kind of glad now I got to explain how this works for the community. But as far as my experience and when I'm looking at the Excel, the most amount of profit can be done from the joint venture would be after if a couple of years or 3 years or some years where we use the rental income, and then later as there is an appreciation of the land and the homes and the market is in a little bit of better shape than it is right now, we would sell it for the highest price, which will allow us to have both the income and the sale and the appreciation all together calculated. That is how usually you reach the highest ROI as far as I know. And so that's probably going to be the plan. However, you can't know if there's going to be an offer made from the right person, and we all feel like, wow, we're leaving fast. We're coming out with now, let's say 50%, or let's say we're coming out of 40% in the first year. I think that's an incredible return you don't see anywhere. And I think this is much more romantic than just like participating in a fund, because you really get to have partners. Who knows where this will go later on? Maybe we'll reinvest together again. I think that's what really Tobias likes now that he's like kind of like is serial co-owning things. So I think that is part of the opportunity, and we will want to liquidate we will want to sell the house, and we will vote on it when the moment that happens. I hope that answered your question, Joe Tomas.
Tobias and Liran, can I just share a thought?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple of words. As I was mentioning in the presentation, I'm an attorney in Costa Rica, and also I'm a dual graduate. I do foreign investment, corporate law. So I assisted in creating the structure that you're seeing, and I'm very proud that it's very straightforward, very simple, but it carries a lot of the experience that we have had into foreign investment. So I'll be together with all of you as all of you contribute, and we distribute the shares, we create the entity. And so I will be there all the way in the road, just to be sure that, that everybody, someone has a question, I'll be there to answer. So this is an interesting also project for me. And talking about community, if you can see, of course, we have Yoko as a huge community, but if you can see here, it's like a small community getting together as well. And that's where I see the community of people here, because if you see almost 30 people just talking about the same topic and just being very excited, and I'm an attorney, I'm not even investment, and I'm excited. I do believe that the community is growing, the seeds of the community grows in many ways.
Thank you, Adrian. Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, just on this last point, once again, especially with regards to the long term, I think we've said it, but as the summary, in my eyes, this first joint venture, it has a purpose of investment, but it is kind of a sandbox. We can all get to know each other. And I would always want to do something like that first before I commit long term. And I think for that, it's perfect. But yeah.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, I'm gonna answer Rachel's last question about Nosara and just say we actually during the last few days have concluded the last affairs and Nosara is going to have a YokoVillage about 15 minutes from Guione's beach, and it's in a very beautiful, serene spot. The land already has water and titles. So since close to half of the members, the potential members of Yoko, have been asking about Nosara as a location, it really is a non-brainer, and we've just been waiting to also do a beautiful joint venture, the right partners, where we don't need to defocus from Santa Teresa. We know we have everything covered, and we can engage in just selling and do what we do very well from afar. Whenever you're ready, Rachel, we can take you on a tour just for Nosara, or anybody who's like to have a Zoom call with me or with somebody from the team to show you more details about that. I also want to invite anybody who has questions, more specific questions about the numbers, the Excel, to connect with Minerva Garcia, who's our CFO and is available to take you on a tour on the Excel that she's so good in writing. Okay, guys. Well, thank you. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have one question. This is Araceli Barriga.
Hi.
My question, with all the, hello, I've been following you for many years, so I'm really excited to go with this. So my question is, out of all the investors right now, the potential ones, I know there's only a limit. How will you manage the let's say the interested parties? So let's say there's 18 or there's 30 out of the only 9 spots you have or whatnot. How are you going to manage that? Like, what's the process for that?
It's always been making sure we're doing business with kind people and first come, first serve. Right now we need I don't know if it's going to be 9 that are needed for 50K each, or it's going to be 3, 4, or 6, right? Adding more. Really on that basis of kindness and your how fast you engage. Since everything is ready, all you have to do is get a DocuSign at this stage and sign, and you don't need to wire the funds until we have everything organized. So it's whoever is going to sign first is going to come in. If somebody signed and then later did not push the wire, the next signer will get the spot for this joint venture.
Sorry, Leon, I missed the beginning of the call. From the time, when will the money be due? Essentially, like 30 days from now, 15 days from now. What is the timeline for that?
It's going to take us once the entire commitments have been signed, So it's essentially a DocuSign. And once we have the 600K committed, it will probably be about a week to open the company and another week to open the bank account. And then we'll be ready for wiring. And I'll say this, when we've engaged in some of you here maybe have been following this in the past. When we've received we've bought the land of Yoko South together, and we didn't know what we have there when we bought it as a group of investors, when we all bought it. We didn't know what kind of lots we'll have. We had no idea, but there was a lot of trust between the group, and we've carried an Excel, and I'll carry an Excel here as well. So every time somebody's going to sign, I'm going to put them on the Excel. It's a Google Sheet, an Excel, excuse me, Google Sheet, where you can, all see whoever signed is going to get access and see their, when they're and who signed when. So all that's going to be like available for you if you've joined. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.